Good morning. Rise in freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com, where the dream of the 80s is alive. Sometimes I see headlines and I think to myself, man, I wore the perfect shirt for today. When I was reading Politico this morning, how 1980s yuppies gave us Donald Trump. If it weren't for the young urban professionals of the 1980s, we'd never have MAGA. Here I am waxing nostalgic about how wonderful life was during the 1980s, and Politico writes a hit piece like this. I'm just like, good God, I dream of the 1980s. I love the 1980s. Here we stand, the 1980s. Yes. Oh, yeah. Yes, I did. Remember to turn on my mic. Thank you very much. Quest Fanning says he bought off of a Rumble ad for the first time this morning, the mosquito zapper. Let me ask you, Quest, did you buy it through an ad you saw on this stream? Because the cool thing about that is, just an FYI how this behind-the-scenes stuff works. If you actually buy products from the Rumble ads that you see during my stream that they'll play randomly, they actually share a cut of that with me. So another reason to support Rumble. Thank you, Quest. If you were watching somebody else's stream, they got paid. That's okay. Yo. Good morning, Gwokas. Thanks, everybody, for joining. We're glad to have you here. Turn Austin's mic up. All right. This is as loud as it gets. Okay. There you go. The Wake Up America show brought to you in part by listeners and viewers like you who click that like button. Yes. Are you clicking the like button? Good. We appreciate that very much. When you do, help support the show. We've got a lot to talk about this morning. Wall Street Journal reporting, behind closed doors, Biden shows signs of slipping. Participants in meetings said the 81-year-old president performed poorly at times. The White House says Biden is sharp and his critics are playing partisan politics. Yeah, for some reason, don't believe it. Also in Biden news this morning, I'm reading the New York Post, Biden announces border crackdown, in quotes, that will still let in at least 1.8 million illegally per year. Yes. Maggie-san. $1.8 million. I wish of $1.8 million instead of 1.8 trillion going out the door. We're going to talk about that this morning with Cliff Maloney, Liberty leader. We look forward to hearing from Cliff today. He'll be with us at 7:30 a.m. Central Time to talk about Biden's border crackdown, and that'll be a great interview. At 8 a.m. Central, I'm really looking forward to hearing from Judge Andrew Napolitano. Have you guys been following what's been going around in the rumor mill in the last couple of days? Apparently, he was supposed to board a flight this week for St. Petersburg. He was supposed to go to Russia along with Scott Ritter and a bunch of other people for public speeches that they were supposed to be giving. But the judge never went to the airport. And Scott Ritter went to the airport, was accosted by U.S. State Department goons dressed up in SWAT gear. They took Scott Ritter's passport, issued him a summons, so he has to go to court, and refused him from being able to board the plane. So the judge was supposed to be on that flight, didn't go. Did the judge get tipped off? Listen, I'm operating here on just a very limited amount of information that I've heard. There was the rumor mill, and then there was what I heard from the judge. So the judge is going to be with us this morning. Big time breaking news. It's stuff involving people that are coming on the show here on the regs. Is the Wake Up America show relevant? Hell yes, it is. We're going to talk to Judge Napolitano at 8 a.m. Central Time about what happened with Scott Ritter, about why he decided not to go to the airport and get on that plane. Maybe he got tipped off about the U.S. State Department agents there. I mean, it's going to be interesting to hear that conversation at 8 a.m. Central Time. You don't want to miss that. At 8:30 a.m. Central Time, I don't have a guest, but I do have an interesting story. It's very compelling. You love it when people get their just desserts, the karma. There's this wannabe professor, postdoctorate at Yale University. And he's been going out there writing about how the right is fascist, MAGA, we're Nazis, Barry Goldwater was an authoritarian right-wing fascist, right, et cetera, right? What a joke. But so So he's made common cause with the left. He's a white guy, right? Kind of a nerdy white guy. David Austin Walsh, I think is his name. I might be getting it wrong. I was just seeing the story this morning. I was like, oh wow, this is interesting. Anyways, so he's out there complaining now about how he can't get a job because he's white. When that DEI hits. We're going to talk about that this morning at 8:30 a.m. Central Time. I've got a bunch of screenshots of tweets of him going back and forth with this internet personality guy by the name of Richard Hanania. Maybe you've heard of him, maybe you haven't. But it's just fascinating because all of these right-wing outlets like Fox News and the Wall Street Journal and Richard Hanania, all of these people, Christopher Rufo, have been reaching out to this professor, well, wannabe professor, about some of the comments that he's made about the fact that he's never going to be able to get a job in academia because he's a white guy. And he's out there saying, no, I'm not going to talk to him. I'm not going to be a participant in any of this project. So not only is he being immolated by the left, who he's been defending out there, advocating for these DEI things, calling right-wingers fascists and Nazis, et cetera. People like you and I, fascists and Nazis, right? Well, we're anything but Barry Goldwater, for God's sakes, fascists and Nazis. And then he gets a lifeline from right-wing Republicans, Wall Street Journal types reaching out saying, hey, we want to hear your story. We're going to give you a chance to be heard. Maybe you'll actually get a job out of this coverage. No, he doesn't want to have anything to do with that. So not only is he being immolated by the left, but he's also self-immolating. And you know what? I love to see it. Oh, the irony. What is a wannabe professor? Well, he's a postdoctorate. So he's right now, he's trying to get a job in university. He wants to go to work for academia, but he's a white guy, a white historian guy. And no matter how much he throws barbs at the right, no matter how much he tries to say, look, I'm a white guy, but I'm not one of them. I'm not a fascist. I'm not one of those. He's just not going to be able to get a job. And I'm laughing so hard at this article that I read by this lesbian. And I wouldn't just call her a lesbian because she looks like a lesbian. She does look like a lesbian, but she, in her bio there, says, lesbian. So lesbian it is, right? So anyways, talking about, calling him out for his privilege and talking about how he is the problem because he's complaining about not being able to get a job because he's white. It's just so funny. There you go. Where's the chat? Asks Liz. I don't know. You're in it. You best be believing in the Rumble chat. You're in one. Maybe you're asking why it's not up on the screen. Well, I have to be careful with that because again, if I had a producer, he would be doing this kind of stuff for you. I could throw the chat up on the screen for you so you can see it right now. But when I have a guest, then it covers their face. See, now you can see it. There you go. You're welcome. Shadow Collector says historian jobs are nearly impossible for anyone to get. Yes, very true. And if you're a white guy trying to get a job in something like that in academia, they don't want that. That is white colonizer behavior. So he's definitely going to have a problem trying to get a job like that. Announcements. What a wonderful way to start the day. Announcements. Couple of things. As we head towards the 4th of July holiday, and we are all looking forward to what I like to call Libertarian Christmas. God bless America.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to
as you all know, my wife is with child and will soon bear a beautiful white baby. Not white. If you're Nazi, then it's not going to be white. It's going to be a Jew baby. Because my wife's Jewish. But the baby's still going to look pretty white. I hope she has red hair. Another redheaded libertarian girl in the world, I think, would be one of the best gifts I could ever give to my country. God bless America. From now on,
it's going to be America first, okay? America first.
Redheaded, beautiful, libertarian, Jewish, white baby girl. There you go. With baby coming, what does that mean? That means that I will be gone. And there's a chance, you never know, that I might get a phone call from Steffi one morning just randomly during the show. She might be like, hey, ho, let's go. Hey, ho, let's go. The baby's on the way now. Do. Get your ass home now. Dun, dun. Gonna have a baby. Gonna be a dad. Which might mean, hey, ho, Augie's got to go. And I'll have to just be like, hey guys, love you, gotta go. And then I'll hit the sad music, wrap it up, and say I'm gonna go be a dad, and I gotta run to take my wife to the hospital. You know what that means, right? So when that happens, the Wake Up America show will be on a very temporary hiatus, and that's what it means to be my own boss. 2 to 3 days potentially in the mix. Who knows how long it's going to take? If there's a C-section or if there's complications, the maximum with, if it's bad, then potentially 4 days. If it's good, then potentially 1 to 2 days, which means, if the baby comes on a Monday, then, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'd be out. Thursday, I would be home. And here's the thing. So Steffi, she's got a lot of anxiety, obviously, and she's nervous about losing her spot on the show on Fridays. So here's the thing. The Friday show, that's the first week of the baby. I think Steffi will pretty much not be on the show. It'll be Freedom Family Friday, but it'll probably just be me and Justin if that scenario unfolds. So that's just a heads up. However, Stephanie was like last night, she's like, well, does that mean I'm not going to be able to be on the show anymore because I got to stay home and take care of the baby? I'm like, no, just bring the baby. Don't you guys kind of want to meet the baby? Yeah, we're going to bring the baby on. Say hello. So the first time you get to meet the baby will be on Freedom Family Friday. It will be me, Stephanie, Justin, and baby Hazel. So it'll be fun, right? I wish that whoever's calling me from Homestead, Florida would stop. Just text me or something like that over and over again. So on that Friday, you'll get to meet baby Hazel. And if baby Hazel cries or something like that, Steffi might have to step off the set. And then that means that, Steffi will be off at taking care of the baby, but she'll be nearby. But if the baby goes to sleep, she'll come back on the set. There's going to be a little bit of a transition period, okay? Because that's just what it is. New dad, new situation. But I will make my absolute best effort to be here, depending on how well, the birth delivery goes, 2 to 3 days after I will be back, and we will continue the Wake Up America show because you know what the freaking deal is? AP's got to make money,
Can you bless me with something?
Oh, gosh.
Money-wise. Please.
Can you suck it?
What?
There you go. So there you go. That's the story, and I'm sticking to it. If you have any questions about that, let me know. That's the announcement. But Steffi will be back as soon as she can. Also, another announcement really quick. New regular guest. So you know that we have, today, Judge Napolitano joins us at Wednesdays. We've also got people who are Bobby UK is saying not many helpful people in the chat for a new listener. I'm only trying to ask how the call-ins work. Oh, hey, Bobby, if that's you calling right there, just an FYI, you got to set it up first with a text message. Let us know you want to call in. I've got a guest at 7:30, so we don't have time now, but I do have time for call-ins if you'd like it, 8:30 a.m. Central Time. So don't go, buddy. Hang out. And please be helpful to people in the chat. We appreciate that. At 8:30, we will have time for that. Okay, so new regular guest. Again, I'm trying to get to these announcements so we can get to the news. I'm sorry, guys. For all the people who are new here, who are not used to the background and the history of the show, I'm sorry. I'll get to the news as soon as possible. But I just have to get these announcements out. So, we have regular guests on the show. Camellia Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then Danielle Pensack on Thursdays, and the Judge on Wednesdays, and Mondays with Miltimore, and Freedom Family Fridays. So we typically have regular guests pretty much every day. We are adding a new regular guest to the lineup starting next week, potentially, but maybe the week after that. We have a new Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. appointment slot that will be hosted by me with my new regular guest, the chair of the Libertarian National Committee, Angela McArdle. There you go. So starting next Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. Central Time, Angela McArdle will be joining us for a regular appearance to talk about what the Libertarian Party's strategy is to try and stop Joe Biden from getting reelected as president of the United States. And her interviews have been getting wide acclaim and lots of interest. The Washington Post was actually watching the Wake Up America show yesterday, and they immediately reported on what Angela McArdle had been saying as soon as the show was over. So the mainstream media is watching and listening. Angela McArdle joins us Tuesdays at 8:30 a.m. Central Time to break down what's happening to the Libertarian Party and their strategy to stop Joe Biden from retaking the White House. Don't you just love it? Yes. So, FYI, Barney, it looks like you're watching the show. It looks like it's the kind of show that would have a producer because look at all these fancy graphics, right? You look at all this stuff going on. We've got we got sound effects like these,
Oh God!
and
How
that.
dare you!
Right. But the truth is that I'm the producer. I'm producing all this. I'm in a studio all alone in Jefferson City, Missouri. And we are starting to get successful enough to where I hope that soon we're going to be able to bring in some producing kind of talent, but we're not quite there yet. But Eric John, the pizza artist, is helping to make that dream come true. He just donated $2 and said, here's a couple bucks towards laundry detergent to pre-treat your shirts due to all the throw up and poop stained onesies that are coming. Thank you. GF Johnson says the butthurt libertarians on X yesterday were hilarious after her interview. I know they're all like, yeah. So Angela McArdle will join us Tuesdays at 8:30 a.m. Central Time. And it'll be a great interview. We're going to have a lot of fun on that one. So if you'd like to have your voice heard, especially for our new friend, Bruce, was it Bruce UK? If you'd like to have your voice heard, what you should do is text the show at 573-319-1586. Again, the text lines are open, and that's the best way to have your voice heard on the show. If we don't do a lot of call-ins because typically we have a lot of guests. So if you'd like to have your voice heard and you want to have your opinion registered, make sure you send us a text message at 573-319-1586. Again, text lines are open at 573. Austin, wake up. 573-319-1586. All right. Well, I've got a ton of news to cover, and I do want to talk about the Joe Biden stuff. But I just was laughing so hard at this clip yesterday. You know that the trans activist Blair White? Well, she went to a pride parade the other day, and this is the reaction that she got from the gays. Listen.
You're gonna be on.
Why are they so mad? Jesus. I thought it was about pride, good emotions.
Do not engage with the police, don't engage with
Look how crazy this person is.
Yeah,
This is a fan of mine. Get away from me.
Causing problems.
How am I causing problems? Now you're just being a stalker, sir. Now you're just stalking.
Are you stalking a trans woman?
Stalker,
sir?
no stalking. It's just weird. If you film people just because they're conservative, that's like some weird shit. You're on some goofy shit, sir. A grown goofy.
You're gonna be on.
Why are they so mad?
Why are they so mad? Why are they so mad? Because you don't understand that the gay stuff is not the point. The revolution is the point. It's never about Gaza. It's about the revolution. It's not about LGBT. It's about the revolution. It's not about helping the poor or the homeless. It's about the revolution. Everything is about socialism, communism, and top-down, centralized, massive government intervention into our lives. It is not about freedom for the gays. It's not about being able to live your life as you see fit with your partner that you're whatever it is that you decide, you're polyamorous, kink, whatever, living your lifestyle as a furry. No offense, Kermode Bear. It's not about that. It's about the revolution, and that's why they harassed Blair White at a transsexual person. There's a difference between transgender and transsexual. It's not about LGBT stuff. It's about the revolution. It's about communism. Speaking of pride, watch this video, guys, and tell me if you see what I see here. You know what? I'm gonna let you watch this video of I think you all recognize who this person is, but just tell me something. Tell me if you get the same impression here that I kind of got.
Yep. Okay, here. You want me to work that for you? Well, I
Just get a photo. Just get a photo. We gotta keep moving.
What did he say? He said, do you? He said, you want me to work that for you? Hold on one second. What?
Would you like a ride, or you got to keep moving?
They said I got to keep moving.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind driving. This is a little bigger than my. This is a little bigger than my John Deere.
That's a beauty. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah. Are you competing with it here? Or you just showing?
No, we just show. Everybody just shows. There's a feature tractor every year. This year it's the Al Chalmers. John Deere will have its time. Yep. Yeah.
Always had his time.
Yep. Right. Yep.
That seemed a little weird. That just okay. So listen, I mean, look, I'm not adults consenting adults as they please, not trying to necessarily cast aspersions or anything like that. But I mean, I don't know, that eye contact was a little. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so did you guys see that too? Yeah, I mean, like, hold on, like, did you hear like the comment that he made there? Listen to this comment. Listen to this.
Okay, here.
You want me to work that for you?
Well,
You want me to work that for you? Anyways, don't forget that if you'd like to see today's bonus content, the mini documentary is available to unlock. We've already got a couple bucks donated by Eric John, the pizza artist. He's interested in seeing today's mini documentary. Political concepts that changed the world. Yeah, Trump won over on YouTube this morning, says slightly homoerotic. Yeah, just slightly. So we appreciate that. Nice to see you guys over there on YouTube. We appreciate it. And we've also got a bunch of people, I'm sure, joining us over at X.com. How many, Austin? 403 exactly. Good morning. If you are a Wake Up America show regular, you already know the drill. If we raise $60 in Rumble Rants or in Super Chats, YouTube Super Chats, or in purchases at apforlibertyshop.com, then you will get to see today's mini documentary. And we've raised $2 towards the $60 goal. Thank you, Eric John. And this week's theme are political concepts that change the world. Yesterday, we did one about the Overton window. And today's follows a similar theme. So if you'd like to see today's mini documentary, it's a great way to have skipped the commercials that we would normally play as we transition from guest to guest. So, for example, I'm about to go get Cliff Maloney. Unless some people go over to apforlibertyshop.com, buy some shirts, buy some coffee or hats or what have you. Then instead of playing the typical commercials that we play as we transition from guest to guest, then you get to watch the mini documentary that I've produced for today, which I think is a really good incentive, don't you? Yes. Courtney Conover, she says, my Libertarians for Trump flag shipped yesterday. Looking forward to flying that off the deck. That's awesome. Yes, so we also do gift giveaways for people who are monthly subscribers to the show. So if you are a monthly supporter, not only do you get a 20% discount at apforlibertyshop.com, but you also are entered into gift giveaways like what Courtney Conover won. She won a Libertarians for Trump flag. So get those Rumble Rants in, head to apforlibertyshop.com and unlock today's mini documentary. Okay, now I know this. I just spent 30 minutes blowing through stuff that wasn't related to the topic, but we're going to talk about Joe Biden's executive order on the border. President Biden announced this executive order saying that officials will shut down the U.S.-Mexico border if illegal crossings top 2,500 per day for 7 consecutive days. A, quote, crackdown that will still allow at least 1.8 million asylum seekers into America each year. Senator John Kennedy had something to say about that. Take a listen.
Okay, I want you to listen up. Here's the drill. President Biden is in trouble politically. He's polling right up there with fungal infections. Part of the reason for that is that he gave in to the loon wing of his party, and he dissolved the southern border. Now, 5 months before an election, he has to appear to be willing to do something about it, hence this executive order. And he expects you to report this epiphany that he has had, take what the White House is telling you, balance it on your noses like trained seals, and report it uncritically. For 3 years, we have watched President Biden push on a door that has been clearly marked pull. He's mismanaged Congress, COVID, the national debt, the economy, inflation, crime, Afghanistan, Iran.
I could just watch Senator Kennedy all day long. He's so funny. Gotta give it up for Louisiana for giving us Senator John Kennedy. Thank you, Joni Rankin, for that $10 tip. We appreciate that, Joni. Thank you. She says she loves Cliff. Well, let's go get Cliff. Hear what Cliff Maloney thinks about Biden's border breakdown. And is Joe Biden still all there? Wall Street Journal, big news today. More and more people are saying that behind the scenes, Joe Biden's falling apart. We'll talk about that with Cliff Maloney when we get back on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Don't go away.
The Cantina crew, this is Elon Musk, the CEO of Twitter. And I just want to say thank you for watching the Wake Up America show. I've decided that Austin Peterson will be the new CEO of Twitter.com, effective immediately. First thing to do, though, is I've got to go and blast off into space.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that at the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government. Get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
if I had to pick up the phone, call 911 for one of my family members or one of my neighbors, what would I do if no one was on the other end to respond? What if there was no 911? You can be a part of the solution.
Anybody can be a firefighter. Male, female, younger, older.
We have school teachers. We have leaders in business.
Is me, you, anyone that wants to be. There is no typical firefighter.
Do you hate the deep state? Do you reject the Antichrist in all his ways? Do you believe that aliens controlled LBJ to assassinate John F. Kennedy? Did you know that the shot can put chemicals in you that will make you more sensitive to 5G? Do you love America? Do you want more freedom? Do you like smoking hot red-headed libertarians? Then the AP for Liberty shop is for you! Check out all the awesome new merch and have a happy new year! Fight the deep state, reject the Antichrist! Visit AP for Liberty shop and get your patriotic merchandise now, or the deep state wins!
Welcome back to the Wake Up America show with Austin Peterson. I'm glad to have you here. Have you clicked that like button yet? What's wrong with you? Come on now, you know the price of admission. Simple likety-like. Tap, tap, tap it in. Tap, give it a little tappy. A little tapperoonie. If it's your first time here watching the Wake Up America show, welcome. We're glad to have you. And if you enjoy the content today, we hope we'll earn your follow. The Wake Up America show streams live every Monday through Friday from 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. We'd be glad to have you join us 5 days a week, 2 hours in the morning. It's a great way to start your day to rise and freedom. All right, let's get the show on the road. Cliff Maloney is not here. Oh, I know. I have no idea where Cliff Maloney is. And it's not like I got somebody that can go track him down, because it's just you, me, and a bottle of tea. Makes 3? No idea. Thank you to Quest Fanning for donating a few bucks. We've raised $15 towards the $60 goal to unlock today's mini documentary. Thank you. Thank you. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, there's Cliff. Guess what? He decided to show up. You have to put his title in on the fly. Take down McCardle. Put in Cliff. He is connecting. Give me 20 seconds here, guys. I'm going to go to a quick little standby. Don't leave. And I'm going to go get Cliff Maloney in the show. I'll be right back. 2 shakes of the lamb's tail. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around so we could get our next guest, one of the leading lights for liberty here in the United States. He's fighting right now in the Pennsylvania chase, chasing after those ballots to try and prevent the Democrats from stealing this election. He's been a Ron Paul staffer, a Rand Paul staffer. You know he's on our side. He's a fellow Missourian. That's right. My next guest, joining us live, Cliff Maloney on there. Give him a round of applause. What's up, Cliff? Good morning.
Austin, great day to be a lover of liberty. Thanks for having me.
That's right, Cliff. Well, we're excited to hear a little bit more about how things are going out in Pennsylvania. Let's put a thumbtack in that for now. We're going to come back to that. I'm just dying to hear your take on Joe Biden's reversal, quote, crackdown on immigration. Quite convenient, isn't it?
You know, there's being underwater politically, and then there's having a gun against the back of your head and not realizing it for 3 years. Unfortunately, I think that's what Joe Biden has finally come to terms with. This whole border crisis, I mean, even open border libertarians, even open border folks on the left, everybody that for years has defended kind of this situation, I think most people are coming to terms with the idea that you can't have millions of people coming across the border. And look, even if you don't want to buy the argument that they're criminals or that there might be some bad apples that come across, it's just chaos. I mean, you have a situation where you have so many people coming in, nobody's following the law. And I just think that most Americans usually aren't impacted by immigration. That's changed in the last 3 to 4 years. And I think this entire election, Biden and the Democrats have realized there's one issue. It's the border that resonates with voters. You know, there are a lot of issues that obviously, like, the left has used the pro-life / pro-choice battle as something to motivate voters. But inflation, of course, the economy will motivate. But this border issue and Biden taking this step to all of a sudden act like, he's going to be the one that fixes the border after he ran his whole campaign on reversing Trump's border policy, then reversing it, then seeing the chaos. It's just there's no way a guy with his competency is going to be able to hit that message where it needs to be hit. And I just think it's too little too late, as is becoming the term I hear from most Republicans talking about it. And to me, it's just 100% a political maneuver.
Well, and it would still allow for 1.8 million illegals to come into the country per year under this policy. So it's more like it's just that he's looking like he's doing something while he's not actually doing anything. Just like when it comes to, their action on inflation, they're kind of like telling us one thing. I mean, it's not necessarily gaslighting, but they're definitely peeing on our legs and telling us it's raining, right, Cliff?
Yeah, and I think this is a lot of what you see out of Republican leaders too when it comes to these, very strongly worded letters. I call it press release politics, right? Nobody's ever doing anything. They're just putting out press releases so that they can try to get some headlines. The people that are friendly to them are obviously going to promote that, use that, look at the solution, look at what they're doing. And look, the Republicans do it too. But it's exactly the case here that Biden is putting this out so he can try to put out the fire. But the problem is, I just think he's going to put gasoline on it for Republicans to be able to continue to attach Biden to the border. And I just don't think Americans are going to accept the excuse that he's used for 3 years, which is, well, first I'm going to reverse all of Trump's policies. Next, I'm going to talk and brag about how I reversed them. And then 3, when everybody realizes there's a major problem here, I'm going to say, well, Congress should give me the power, and I've asked for the power since day one. It's complete baloney. He knows it. The American people know it. And I think I'm getting to the point, I don't want to say this and act too confident. I really, if he is the guy on the ballot, I just have to think that he is going to lose by more than 5 or 6 points. I just have never seen trends like this. And I just don't believe people have any faith in this guy to put a sentence together.
No kidding, Cliff. And that's actually the big story at the Wall Street Journal this morning. I don't know if you're a fan of the WSJ. It's kind of like the only mainstream media periodical that has, is at least to the right of Joseph Stalin sometimes. And I'm reading, I'm reading this headline this morning: behind closed doors, Biden shows signs of slipping. Behind closed doors, Cliff, he's doing it in front of open doors. But it's a huge piece, and it just came out yesterday, it looks like, talking about the experience that representatives and senators are having with Joe Biden, that, the Democrats are out there saying, oh, well, yeah, you see these gaffes when he's not scripted, when he's out there in front of the public, but behind closed doors, he's a genius. This has kind of been the narrative that we've been hearing for months. Behind closed doors, he's perfectly fine. Karine Jean-Pierre, whenever she gets grilled by Peter Doocy in the White House, that's their big excuse. But more and more congressional leaders are coming out and saying that behind closed doors, it's even worse. I mean, we even heard some rumors for a while that he's having like those night terrors, like when, grandpa gets up in the middle of the night and starts wandering around the White House naked, like all this kind of stuff. I mean, I'm honestly shocked that the Democrats have not mounted a serious campaign to try and replace him. But I guess it's because they're all terrified NPCs. What's your take?
I still think I'm let me say this correctly. I do not think he will be the nominee. Now, I hope he is. I think that they could be stupid enough, but usually Democrats are serious people. This is a business for them. This is an operation. This is power. This is defending and defining the laws that we live under. They take it very seriously. I wish Republicans were as serious about some of this as they are. I still think that the June debate, and this was a big argument, on the right, was does Trump want to agree to do this early debate or should he hold off? And I think that there's arguments on both sides. You want to set the tone. You want to, continue the momentum with a good debate if you're Trump. But I think the Democrats are thinking he might come on stage, Biden, he might come on stage and shit his pants. And I say that not as a joke. I say that as that could be the precipice, Austin. Look, I'm calling it right now on your show. Wake Up America. This random guy, Cliff Maloney, predicts that Joe Biden will shit his pants in this June debate, and that will be why the Democrats say, listen, for health reasons, and we just hit a plateau, and Joe's going to step aside. But I just don't think you can put a guy like him on the ballot, and this June debate will be either where he has some miraculous comeback or they use it as the reason to ditch him.
Yeah, if you enjoy content like this, you don't hear it anywhere else but on the Wake Up America show, where I'm speaking to Cliff Maloney. Thank you to Erd's mommy this morning. She just bought a couple of items from apforlibertyshop.com. That puts us less than $5 away from today's goal to unlock today's bonus content. Thank you, guys. We appreciate all the support. Absolutely tremendous how this community has grown. We had the biggest show ever last week, 10,000 live viewers or something like that. Ron Paul used to say liberty is popular, and I think that is still true, but we've got a lot of work to do before we can really bust through into the mainstream, Cliff. And certainly that's something that you're doing right now, working on trying to basically win elections. Because, I talk about how the left owns all of the major institutions. Pretty much without exception. Maybe a few churches here or there haven't gone woke, although a lot of churches still have. Academia, totally woke. The deep state, the government, completely taken over by our enemies. The White House, everything is controlled by people who don't believe in freedom the way that you and I do, Cliff. So what you're doing out in Pennsylvania is to try to do what they sort of sloganed a few years ago, stop the steal, if you will. You're taking the Democrats' tactics, you're taking the left's tactics, and you're using it against them. How?
Yeah, it's time to fight fire with fire. So back in 2020, they changed the election rules. Since they've changed the rules in Pennsylvania, we've had 4 elections, and Republicans have refused to adapt. After the 2020 election, we all screamed that, it was fraudulent. In 2021, we said, we're going to change it through litigation. That didn't work. In 2022, Republicans said they'll change it legislatively. That didn't work. And in 2023, I think a lot of activists, a lot of voters, a lot of candidates just threw their hands up in the air and said, hey, what's the path forward? And so 23 was the look in the mirror. And we said enough's enough. And so we've launched this PA chase. And the idea is exactly what you said, Austin. I'm using the Democrats' playbook. I'm using their tactics. I'm using their strategy. And heck, I'm using their budget. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And so we're hiring 120 full-time ballot chasers, just like they do. And in Pennsylvania, there's 50 days of mail-in ballots. And so there's 50 election days. I mean, I know it might sound crazy to folks in Missouri or in some of these other red states where you vote on election day. Maybe you have a week of voting. But in Pennsylvania, you have 50 days. And so we're going to take those 120 full-time ballot chasers. We're going to go out and pound on 500,000 doors. And look, the numbers are pretty bad. Republicans have received 20% of the mail-in vote portion. So of the mail-in votes, it's 20% Republican to 80% Democrat. And we think through this effort, matching the Democrats at what they do best, chasing these ballots, we're going to go from 20% to 33%. That's how we win PA. And you're right. It's not just a slogan. It's not just a press release policy. It is about going out and doing the hard work that nobody wants to do, because that's what it will take to win. Democrats do the serious work. It's time for Liberty Republicans to step up and match their game.
Speaking of Liberty Republicans or libertarians in general, the chair of the Libertarian National Committee, Angela McArdle, has been making appearances on this program. We just announced that she's now going to be a regular guest throughout this election season as she talks about her strategy to prevent the reelection of Joe Biden. Now, she's got to be very careful about what she says and how she says it in regards to what that means, especially because of the Donald Trump factor. You and I know very well what the promises that Donald Trump made to the Libertarian Party or libertarians in general when he appeared at their national convention a couple of weeks ago. But many prominent Big L libertarians, party members, have come out and said they can't support their own nominee. Many libertarians are throwing in openly, people like myself and others, with Donald Trump. Are you surprised to see so many libertarians who have differences of policy with Donald Trump? Are you surprised to see so many fellow travelers, people like you and I ideologically, throwing in with Donald Trump?
No, I'm not surprised to see the most rational thinking, free market, I would say intelligent political ideology, realizing and coming to a rational decision that the correct choice in 2024 is Donald Trump. Now, listen, of course, there's going to be a sector of certain party leaders that want to keep the small pond and be a big fish. That's fine. They can do that. They can stay in the sandbox. We're going to play in the White House. And I think the difference here is that libertarians that really want to see impact, a libertarian member of the cabinet, Ross Ulbricht, free on day one. I mean, some of these things that Trump is advocating for are great. But aside from that, you have a situation where there's not really another person even on the ballot. Usually there's an excuse, Austin, that we've got somebody on the ballot that represents true libertarian values, that understands free markets. But on all of the key issues, the libertarian nominee this cycle is aligned with Joe Biden on all of the key issues. Transing our kids, woke stuff in schools, any of the huge culture war issues of our day. You've got the libertarian nominee now standing with Joe Biden, whereas Trump is right on all of the major culture issues. Now, do we have to cut spending? Do we have to do things differently? Do we have to actually gut and just cut out all of the rot in the deep state? Yeah, I'm with Vivek Ramaswamy on this. I think you are as well. But the reality is there is a clear choice this cycle of somebody who is a real political prisoner, of somebody who's ready to go to war against the deep state, who's announced he's going to cut the Department of Education, somebody who's cut more regulations than any president, probably all presidents combined in our lifetime, and he started no new wars. If you are really somebody who believes in limited government, libertarian, constitutional values, the choice this cycle is clear. It's Donald Trump, and rational libertarians are coming to that decision, and I think it's going to put him over the top in the election.
Our lips to God's ears, Rabbi. Cliff Maloney joining us nice, bright and early here on a beautiful Missouri morning post-rain. Cliff, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners or plug before we let you go?
Yeah, PAChase.com. If anybody wants to apply to be a full-time ballot chaser, housing is provided, food, we got gas cards and a nice payment, but also anybody that wants to sponsor a ballot chaser, it's about $170 per day, can fund an entire day of ballot chasing in Pennsylvania. The White House runs through Pennsylvania. Control of the U.S. Senate runs through Pennsylvania. PAChase.com. Austin, always appreciate you.
Hey, very grateful, Cliff. Thanks for doing the hard work for liberty. Not a lot of people are willing to do what it takes and break a sweat and walk a mile in your afueras before anybody judges your libertarian credentials. Thanks, Cliff. Have a wonderful day.
See you guys.
That's Cliff Maloney. Let's give him a round of applause. Yes, he's out there doing the hard work for liberty. We could sure use 100 more Cliff Maloneys, even 5 more Cliff Maloneys. Thank you very much to everybody who's been a big supporter of the Wake Up America show. This morning, I've been seeing those Rumble Rants those donations coming in, like our friend Kilsharian. Good morning, Quantum. Urs Mommy, as well as Frickety Baby Dollars there. Quest Fanning has made a donation. Joni Rankin. Eric John, the pizza artist, you all are great. Are you guys excited to hear from Judge Andrew Napolitano? It's going to be awesome. He's going to be joining us here in a little bit less than 10 minutes. You guys have now unlocked the bonus content. Congratulations. It means you get to watch the mini documentary that instead of going through the commercial break, you'll now get to watch the mini documentary while I go get Judge Andrew Napolitano to talk about this wild news. I mean, rumors were swirling. I was getting text messages that Judge Napolitano had potentially been detained at JFK Airport. Then it turns out that he was not detained. He didn't go to the airport. He was supposed to go to the airport. He was supposed to go to Russia to give this speech with Scott Ritter and a bunch of other people. And apparently Scott Ritter did go to the airport, was stopped at the airport by the U.S. State Department in SWAT team gear. They took his passport and issued a summons for him. He has to appear in U.S. District Court. Judge Andrew Napolitano did not go, but he was supposed to be at the airport. He was supposed to go to Russia. Now he's not going to Russia. Something is rotten in the state of New Jersey. We're going to hear from Judge Andrew Napolitano about just exactly what happened here in just a few minutes. We'll talk to him about that. If you have any questions for the judge or for myself, remember, you see that text line at the bottom of the screen? That's your lifeline to AP. You can text me anytime, night or day. A lot of our podcast listeners, which we do get people, we get about a couple hundred downloads a day of the audio version of the Wake Up America show. And if you're listening to this audio version later, then just a reminder, if you text us at 573-319-1586, I will get your text message and I will respond to it because I'm always constantly monitoring what you guys are saying. Plus, we also use that text line for people who have questions about apforlibertyshop.com, which, by the way, we appreciate if you would visit our grift shop this morning. We do have a bunch of new merchandise. I've just been adding products like crazy over at apforlibertyshop.com. Apparently there was a story, get this, of this Michigan representative who had a shirt that was driving the left insane. Now, they're always freaking out about like conservative symbols, like the Appeal to Heaven flag. They freaked out about the Appeal to Heaven flag, and I sold 1 billion Appeal to Heaven flags. Now they freaked out about this shirt, which this is not an exact copy of the shirt that he was wearing, but it's pretty darn close, at least the closest that I could come to and represent without a copyright violation. But the Michigan representative shirt said, "How to spot a communist." Now let's see if we can actually, how to spot a communist. Michigan, let's see if we can find the story. How to spot a communist, and no, not forum, but news. Oh, here it is. Michigan Representative Matt Maddock targeted for anti-communism shirts. So he had a shirt that said, how to spot a communist, and he was getting in trouble. Here we go, from the left. They said, he's pictured in a shirt, it's a violent threat against his enemies and intended to incite violence in others. The Michigan House should take action to censor him. No! Courtney, I haven't got the banana shirt up yet, but I will get it soon. But somebody messaged me and they said, "Austin, if you get this shirt in your shop, I promise I will buy it." Well, I did put it up in my shop and he didn't buy it. How dare you?
How dare you?
But a lot of other people did. I can't make it exactly like that because that would be violating someone else's copyright. Instead, I made my own version, how to spot a communist, with a nice little guy right there with his gun there. So get yours at apforlibertyshop.com and freak out the left. Michigan House Rep Matt Maddock inspires so much hatred. And while you're there, you know what you should probably do? You know what you ought to do this summer? Get yourself a How to Spot a Communist shirt, then get an Appeal to Heaven flag at apforlibertyshop.com. Fly the Appeal to Heaven flag while wearing the How to Spot a Communist shirt, and, well, you know what? It's just going to be mayhem. There you go. I'll make the banana octopus shirt for you later, Courtney, when I get home. So get yourself an Appeal to Heaven shirt, a How to Spot a Communist shirt, and when we get back, we'll hear from Judge Andrew Napolitano about what happened with that trip that was supposed to be Russia. He wasn't supposed to be here today. Interesting. Now, enjoy the bonus content. You unlocked it. Thanks, everybody. We'll be right back on the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Up America Show bonus content takes a look at a political concept that is an important part of debunking democratic socialism. Let's consider the tragedy of the commons. In 1974, satellite images revealed a stark contrast in vegetation between a fenced area and the surrounding lands in northern Africa, illustrating the tragedy of the commons. The fenced land, privately owned and divided into sections, thrived due to managed grazing, allowing the land time to recover, showcasing responsible land stewardship. Meanwhile, the adjacent common land was overgrazed by nomadic herders, leading to severe environmental degradation, exacerbated by a drought in the early 1970s. The concept of tragedy of the commons was first described by William Forster Lloyd in 1832, observing the depletion of shared pastures in England due to unregulated grazing. Lloyd pointed out that individual herders benefited from adding more livestock, while the damage from overgrazing was shared among all, encouraging unsustainable practices. When private property rules, people maintain their land. When communistic everyone owns it, then everyone expects someone else to take care of it. Even knowing the damage they caused, herders felt compelled to maximize their immediate benefits due to the collective nature of the commons, showing a classic conflict between individual gain and collective welfare. James Madison once suggested that if all men were angels, government and regulation wouldn't be necessary. However, in reality, personal interests often override communal well-being. This dilemma leads initially cooperative individuals to act selfishly as they see others exploiting the commons, leading to a collective race to deplete shared resources.
The term tragedy of the commons became widely used after Garrett Hardin's 1968 article, emphasizing inevitable ruin when communal resources are unmanaged. Globally, fishing commons have suffered due to unrestricted fishing rights, leading nations to restrict fishing zones, which only shifted the problem within those limits. Some historical English commons avoided tragedy through stinting or limiting the number of animals per herdsman, effectively managing the resource through social norms. In small communities like the Hutterites, communal living works when population numbers are low, demonstrating that scale and social cohesion impact resource management. The effectiveness of communal systems also depends on the scarcity of resources, as seen in early American frontiers where wildlife was abundant enough to support unregulated hunting. Environmental concerns like atmospheric and oceanic pollution represent modern tragedies of the commons, where absence of clear ownership leads to widespread environmental degradation. Similarly, the U.S. savings and loan crisis in the 1980s exemplifies a financial tragedy of the commons, spurred by government policies that shielded depositors from risk, encouraging reckless financial behaviors. Congestion on toll-free public roads is yet another form of the commons tragedy, where lack of direct usage costs leads to overuse and traffic congestion. Libertarians have always suggested that toll roads, paying for actual use of the roads, is a far superior form of the maintenance of transportation systems. Understanding these patterns helps identify potential tragedies of the commons in various systems, emphasizing the need for effective management and regulation on publicly owned property to prevent communal resources from being depleted. Of course, libertarians might argue that the problem itself is in the concept of publicly held property at all.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com, where the 1980s are still alive. I had to explain to Judge Napolitano why I wear these kind of silly shirts, because the dream of the 1980s are alive here on the Wake Up America show. Now, when I read that story in Politico this morning, how 1980s yuppies are responsible for the rise of Donald Trump, I said to myself, man, it doesn't get any better than that. The 1980s were a great time. Free market capitalism, Ronald Reagan, who, despite his faults, was a much better leader than, well, Barack Obama or maybe even Jimmy Carter, although a lot of libertarians say Jimmy Carter was actually kind of a secret libertarian. You know, I bet I know somebody who might make an argument like that just to be a contrarian. Who knows? Judge Andrew Napolitano is the host of the Judging Freedom podcast. He's not even supposed to be here today, but maybe thanks to the U.S. State Department, he is. Who knows what's going on with this story? Let's have Judge Napolitano clear the air right now. Good morning, Judge, and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Austin. Good morning. To be with you alive, well, and in New Jersey.
Thank you, Judge. Well, we're glad to have you here, brother. So I guess we need to ask. So we've heard all these rumors about what happened, Judge, and I just need to find out from you. I mean, Scott Ritter was, can you tell us, because I know you didn't get on the plane. Scott Ritter, who is a frequent guest of yours, was stopped by the U.S. State Department. Fill us in on the details.
So Scott and I had been invited to make presentations at the St. Petersburg Economic Conference by a benefactor who's a retired FSB agent and now a successful Russian businessman. The benefactor also arranged for me to give a talk at Moscow State University. The night before we were to leave, the benefactor was arrested. Not by the FSB, not by the feds, but by some local police department. Tell me if this doesn't sound familiar. He challenged the mayor of a city for re-election, saying he was going to challenge the mayor. 2 days later, he was arrested by the local police on some kind of a nonsense charge in order to embarrass him. His family and his staff called Scott and said, "We don't think you and the judge should come because Alexander's in jail." And the way it works in Russia, once you're arrested, it's a long time before you get out, even if the charges are bogus. So at 5 a.m, Scott called me. I was ready to leave. The car service was coming at 5:30. Said, "Our trip is off. Don't go to the airport." Okay, I'm disappointed, but I won't go. What are you doing? I'm going home. Then he calls me and said, I've decided to go to the airport because I want to try and help get our friend Alexander out of jail. That's when, after he got his boarding pass, cleared security, was about to get on the plane. But before he got on it, so he wasn't actually dragged off the plane, 3 Border Patrol officers in SWAT gear approached him and said, can you come with us? Are you Scott Ritter? Yes. We have orders from the State Department to seize your passport. At that point, he should have said, show me your ID, should have taken pictures of them, and he should have demanded a receipt. They didn't show ID. They didn't say who they were, and they didn't give him a receipt. They just took his passport and left. That was the extent of it. They escorted him out of the airport, and they did actually help him get his luggage back because it was already on the plane. This is theft, pure and simple, under New York law, New York City law, and federal law. It is a violation of his free speech rights. It's a violation of his Fourth Amendment rights to be free from unreasonable search and seizure. It's a violation of his right to travel, which is covered by a half dozen different amendments in the Bill of Rights. So now he has to bring an action in federal court in order to get his passport back. There is, of course, a tremendous amount of security cameras in JFK, and only a limited number of Border Patrol officials dressed in SWAT gear at that hour. So it should be relatively easy to identify them and trace the passport. But that's what I know. This was not done for any known law enforcement purpose. This was not done for any known intelligence purpose. We don't even know why it was known. If it was done because the State Department hates his political views, well, then they hate your political views, my political views, the political views of nearly everybody listening to us now. And the purpose of the First Amendment is to protect us when the government hates our political views. So I shouldn't speculate because that's everything that I know. He's conferring with lawyers and with detectives / researchers to reverse engineer what happened to the passport.
Scary stuff. But who is this Alexander character, the benefactor, Judge? Because if anything, he's probably the one that sparked all this. He's the reason that, that set all these things in motion. Who is this Alexander guy?
Well, I don't know who sparked it. He's actually in good stead with the Putin administration, having been a former member of it. He also heads an NGO which is funded by the Kremlin. So I think his dispute is purely local and pure to the city Noviborisk, just a large city, smaller than Moscow, not as well known as St. Petersburg. I think his dispute is purely local, but honestly, I don't know. I don't even know what the charges are against him. They're labeled as corruption, but they don't involve money. They don't involve coercion, and they don't involve violence. So I don't know what they are under Russian law. He's a young man. To make this matter even worse, he was supposed to get married in the next 2 or 3 weeks. But the marriage is now off because, as I said, when they arrest you in Russia, you're in jail for a long time before your name is cleared. They don't have habeas corpus as we do here.
So the chat is full of very astute individuals, Judge, and they're asking questions. Is his name Alexander Ivanov?
No.
Okay. That answers that question. So if this Alexander character, he's a benefactor, he's supposed to bring you and Scott Ritter, and then there was another rumor that had swirled about the woman who had accused President Joe Biden of rape, who is now living in Russia. Were you supposed to meet with her?
No, I never heard of her or of this.
Okay, good to know. And the State Department how would they have known that Scott Ritter was going to be at that airport? And then why do you think that they would have removed his passport and his ability to go to Russia? Do you believe that they suspect Scott Ritter of espionage?
I really don't know. I mean, the two of us had visas. Now, I don't know if when you get a visa, if the visa issuing country reports it to your country. I'm going to guess that they do. So I'm going to guess that the State Department knew that we had visas to Russia. Look, Ritter is a retired Marine Corps, former head UN weapons inspector for Iraq and Afghanistan. He's a man of a serious international substance of personal courage and extraordinary intellect. I know of no credible allegation against him for espionage whatsoever. He's an American. He's a patriot. He's harshly critical of the war in Ukraine and harshly critical of the war in Gaza. Other than that, he's the Donald Trump voting conservative / libertarian Republican American.
Well, that's interesting because I mean, I have seen photographs of him dining with Russian generals during the war, and he has made a lot of comments that are pro-Russia. Notably, the Biden administration, obviously, and the Democrats right now have taken Ukraine under their wing as a sort of a pet project for them. That's why we've sent billions of dollars over into this conflict. And the left has, bought completely hook, line, and sinker into the Russian conspiracy theories involving Donald Trump and potential collusion with the Russians. So they're triggered by anything that has to do with Russia. So if I were to guess, and maybe tell me if you think my instincts are right about this one, the fact that Ritter has been ostensibly so pro-Russia in this conflict, and that the left is so pervaded by Russia conspiracy theories and with their belief in the greatness of Ukraine, that they're probably putting him under a microscope for such behaviors and for saying the things that he said. And the fact that he wants to go to Russia, and get paid to speak there probably places him and by extension you under the State Department's microscope, correct?
There was no fee involved. And if your theory is correct, it's profoundly unconstitutional. It's the government evaluating the content of speech. It's the government punishing speech and travel. Speech and travel are fundamental liberties under the Bill of Rights, and the government can't interfere with them without due process. If they think that some harm was going to come to the government because of Ritter's trip to Russia, the proper thing to do would be to file a complaint in a federal district court and explain what that harm might be.
Yeah, well, we've seen how they've treated people like Edward Snowden and Julian Assange and others. So, I mean, it's not too far a bridge, I think, to cross to assume that someone like Scott Ritter would absolutely be in their targets or on their radar because of his stances and beliefs. But, I don't know a whole lot about Scott Ritter, Judge. You do. You interview him quite well. I mean, do you believe, his story that he is persecuted by the American government? Because he has been convicted on charges involving minors, and I don't know whether or not, just like Donald Trump has been convicted on Stormy Daniels things. You can be convicted in a court of law by a jury, doesn't mean that it's a legitimate conviction. But do you think that those charges that were made against him and the conviction of such were politically motivated, and that he's actually truly innocent of those charges?
I do. I do. I don't know the details of the charges. But they were both telephone calls with stings with police officers. It's one of those things. So there was never any minors involved. So it also involves the freedom of speech.
Okay, yeah, because that's one of the things that prominently figures into Scott Ritter when you look into his background as to why the government would be persecuting him. Though, I mean, the thing that Ritter defenders frequently say is because of his anti-government approach when it comes to the position on that he did during his time as a weapons inspector, correct?
Well, when he was the weapons inspector, he concluded, much to the chagrin of General Schwarzkopf and others, that Saddam Hussein had no weapons of mass destruction. And when the State Department reported that it did, he resigned as the chief weapons inspector. And it turned out that the 5 weapons that the State Department, weapons in quotes, identified were railroad cars. They weren't missiles at all. Schwarzkopf was furious. The State Department was furious. The White House was furious. Now, he was working for the UN. He was not working for the federal government. He had more access than the feds did, because Iraq is a member of the UN. So he actually interrogated the people that destroyed Saddam Hussein's weapons of mass destruction. Add to that Bush's determination that he was going to invade no matter what, when another one of my guests, Phil Giraldi, who was then a senior official in the State Department, said there are no weapons of mass destruction. They threw him out of the Oval Office, and Phil resigned from the CIA. So the government has a problem with freedom of speech, and the government has a problem with the truth.
Interesting, Judge. I mean, it's a very tangled web. We're following this story. And in order for Scott Ritter now to be able to travel internationally, he needs to be able to get his passport back. But you say that, and you didn't say specifically that there was a summons, but has he been summoned to court? Has he been charged with any crime?
No, they didn't have any. If they had a warrant, they didn't show him, nor did they give him a receipt. So there's no allegation of criminal activity. He has to commence an action against the State Department in federal court in Brooklyn, which is the court that has jurisdiction over JFK Airport.
What do you think that this U.S. State Department is doing? What do you think their motivation is with this, Judge?
I don't know, other than they're thin-skinned and have an antipathy to his political views.
I mean, obviously they do, but you can't, just because you have an antipathy for political views. I mean, how do you seize property? And how does Scott Ritter not know to demand a warrant or to ask for a receipt? I mean, maybe in the crisis of the moment, right, his head got away from him. But I mean, there's a lot of things about this that just don't make any sense.
Well, I think it was an intimidating moment. I mean, they had machine guns in their hands. Not that they're going to use them, because it's a crime to use deadly force against non-deadly force. Even if he walked away, they can't shoot him. But it is intimidating to see that, particularly in front of a large crowd. He told me he actually bonded with one of these guys who himself was an ex-Marine. And he said they were nice guys. They weren't thugs. They didn't know why they were seizing his passport. They don't work for the State Department. They work for the Border Patrol, which is the Department of Homeland Security. They just told him under orders of the State Department. So there obviously are less intrusive ways to do this, but they chose to do it in a public and flashy way in front of a crowd at JFK Airport.
Yeah, I'm reading the news this morning. I'm surprised that this hasn't gotten more play in the media. I'm only really seeing this story in sort of alternative media websites like Daily Beast, which is a leftist news site, the World Socialist website. State Department strips Scott Ritter's passport at New York Airport. They're talking about things that he's done, like given pep talks in Chechnya to thousands of troops who were involved in the conflict in Ukraine. I mean, he has had plenty of contacts with Russian leaders sanctioned by the West. I mean, it's no surprise that something like this would happen or that he would be under surveillance.
Oh, it is a surprise. It is a surprise because it's such a profound and direct violation of fundamental liberties. It's a reckless, unconstitutional venture that the State Department has undertaken, and it needs to be corrected by a federal court very quickly.
I'm not surprised just because I know how heavy-handed the law is in this country because of how the justice system works, Judge. And we see that we hear how the government works. Have you ever heard of this concept, Judge? It's called anarcho-tyranny.
No, I mean, I know the words, but I don't know the concept.
The concept of anarcho-tyranny.
Is this some new group of young libertarians that you're wrestling with?
No, actually, it's many of our good friends. I'm not sure if you know who Michael Malice is. I think he coined the term, but he, a fellow anarcho-capitalist, and he coined this term anarcho-tyranny, which is that the government enforces the law only against its political enemies and does not enforce it against its political friends. In other words, when Antifa, Black Lives Matter activists go out and they commit crimes of property damage and destruction, the government backs off, allows them to do that. But if conservatives break a few windows at the Capitol, they are punished to the maximum extent of the law. That is anarcho-tyranny. Anarchy for our friends, they don't have to obey the laws, and tyranny against those who we disagree with. And that seems to be the
I
situation
agree
we're
with
facing.
that theory. I mean, it'd be impossible not to agree with it because we see the evidence right before our eyes.
What's next, Judge? I mean, like, I know that you're generally a fearless individual, Judge. You've always been a tireless defender of individual liberty and constitutionalism and free speech. But I mean, if I were you, I would probably feel a little nervous. I mean, I imagine your phones probably are tapped, Judge. You're probably being surveilled. I'm sure that they're listening to this conversation as well. How do you feel about all of this?
Well, it's a violation of fundamental liberties. It's just something you have to live with until the government comes to its senses. And I don't know if it ever will. I mean, even if Trump was elected, Trump, who was victimized by this stuff, actually accelerated it during his presidency. I told him how he could stop it with a phone call and a stroke of the pen, but he didn't. Maybe it'll be different next time around.
That's why a lot of libertarians, Judge, having looked at the Libertarian Party candidate that's being floated right now, a lot of libertarians are rallying to the banner of Donald Trump. Can you blame them?
Well, no, you can't blame them. In terms of civil liberties, he's the lesser of two evils. If it's just Trump versus Biden, I mean, Bobby Kennedy is great on a lot of civil liberties, but he's off the wall on other issues. On the other hand, the other issues on which he's off the wall, so is Trump. But Trump is negotiating with Sheldon Adelson's widow for $100 million donation to his campaign. And you know what she wants in return? For the U.S. to help the Israelis take over the West Bank. That's outrageous, but that's what he's negotiating for.
Adriano Napolitano, host of the Judging Freedom podcast. Judge, who do you have coming up on your show that is also probably being surveilled by the U.S. State Department?
Yes. Well, I have Patrick Lancaster. I don't know if you know Patrick. He's the independent journalist who is all over the Ukrainian part of Russia, the parts of Ukraine that Russia says are Russia. And he comes to us live from there a couple of times a month. He's on 11 this morning. And then at 4 this afternoon, I have Max Blumenthal of the Gray Zone on, who was just the victim of a major hit piece in the Washington Post, which means the CIA, because the Washington Post is the mouthpiece for the CIA. Max, who is Jewish, is the most fearless exposer of the excesses of the Netanyahu government and the IDF in all of America.
Well, if the CIA is behind the Washington Post, and if the U.S. State Department is surveilling you, yesterday the Washington Post was listening to my show and reporting on it in real time with the conversation I had with the chair of the Libertarian National Committee. So between the State Department surveilling you and the CIA surveilling me, Judge, we've got all of the tools of the deep state keeping an eye on what you and I are doing right now. So I guess, Judge, I would never speak like this otherwise, but I hope you'll forgive me if I say to the CIA, the deep state, and the State Department, fuck you. Judge.
Oh, God love you, Austin.
Judge, where can people read your weekly column as well? At judgenap.com? Comes out every Thursday, right?
It comes out every Thursday. You get it on Tuesday afternoon, so we could talk about it on Wednesday. JuddSnap.com or WashingtonTimes.com.
And what's the thrust this week, the premise of your piece?
It's called War and Indifference, and it skewers the Biden administration for fighting a war without a congressional declaration of war, and it skewers the Congress for funding a war without a congressional declaration of war. Question: can the United States declare war on Russia? Answer: no, because we've signed treaties that limit that to when there is a grave military threat. Question: is Russia a military threat to the United States? Answer: no. Question: is the United States a military threat to Russia? Yes. American military equipment is being used to attack inside Russia.
Judge Andrew Napolitano.
That's what the column is about.
Judge Andrew Napolitano, flight to Russia delayed, but his brilliance now on display here on the Wake Up America show. His regular Wednesday morning appearances are a must-watch for all lovers of liberty. Judge, thank you for your time today. Stay safe and make sure, don't forget, if you get a visit by the State Department, demand a warrant.
God love you, Austin. I'll see you next week.
You too, Judge. Thank you very much. We appreciate you very much. Let's give the judge a round of applause. I do want to make a note very briefly for our friends in the chat. The Rumble chats, unfortunately, don't exist forever like YouTube chats do. I wish that they had that functionality. But I do want to say this, that I have been monitoring the chat during the show this morning, and I want to say that I agree with everything that you are saying, Courtney Conover. And I have been following what you've been saying this morning, and I absolutely agree with you, and you have been absolutely correct, except for the one part that Alexander was not Ivanov, but what you have been saying and your analysis, Courtney, I have also been watching as well. But I do have to say that I do feel a little bit flattered that the CIA and the U.S. State Department are tuning into the Wake Up America show this morning. Good morning. One of these days, we're going to get you. We're going to get you. When Donald Trump is reelected president of the United States, I think we can say that we are safely going to clean house, abolish many of the institutions of the government. We're going to go afuera on your asses. 4, 3, 2, 1. When at the barrel of a gun, keep my head way down. Stay out, I'll stay in. Half dead, half done.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
That commie gobbledygook quote from Norm Macdonald. Give it up for Norm. We miss him very much. CIA, U.S. State Department. Speaking of commie gobbledygook, check out our commie gobbledygook shirt over at AP. Oop, hit that wrong button. Over at AP4libertyshop.com. You can get it in a variety of colors. No offense, but it sounds like some.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
There you go. No offense, but it sounds like some commie gobbledygook. Norm Macdonald shirts available exclusively at AP4libertyshop.com. Aren't they beautiful? Yes. You like the commie gobbledygook shirts, you can get that at AP4libertyshop.com. Nobody else has this shirt. You know why? Because it was my idea. I came up with it. I designed it. I put it on the shirt. I legitimately stole it from Norm Macdonald. Yes. Grixis, would you ever have Dave Smith on your show? Sure. I think I've had him on maybe once or twice. I can't remember. I actually reached out to Liberty Lock Pod, Clint Russell, who's been on a tear. Did you guys see that ad that Clint Russell made, by the way? I'll tell you what, I'm going to pull it up for you because I thought it was pretty good. Clint, you know what? Let me hold on 1 second before I do that and dox myself. I don't want to go through my DMs in front of you guys so you guys can see what it is that I'm doing here. Hold on one check. Who was it that sent me the Clint Russell video? Was it Dean? No, it wasn't him. Was it Courtney Conover? No, it wasn't Courtney. Was it Camellia? No, it wasn't Camellia. Somebody sent me the Clint Russell Liberty Lock Pod video. Hold on one check. Oh, here we go. There it is. Okay. He made a campaign ad for Clint Russell. Take a look. I guess I have to say this now. The National Libertarian Party does not speak for me. I do not at all endorse them. Lou Rockwell and his work is a bigoted tribe. You'll have to read some of this stuff. It'll be kind of fast. So
always been
enjoy.
A libertarian. I'm always going to be a libertarian. Yeah. At the same time, when I was criticizing that party, I was also doing the work of door knocking and representing our party as a Senate candidate.
1 second. Yeah, Grixis, he says, think you and Dave have a lot of similar views. Yeah, I think we do. I think Dave and I have definitely drifted apart in recent years on the foreign policy question, because I do think that that the communists at antiwar.com have had a very deleterious impact on the foreign policy thinking of libertarians. And so I think, and I'm not accusing Dave Smith of this at all, but like a lot of like that pro-Russia take, a lot of that has come through a lot of these people who have like, you know, endorsed Vladimir Putin, like Daniel McAdams at the Ron Paul Institute and others. So yeah, I definitely don't identify with that. I just think that that the libertarian foreign policy lends itself either to pacifism or full-blown wokeism to a large extent. So, but yeah, David Smith and I agree on perhaps like, you know, 90% of issues, but there's that 5% there that I think I lean a little bit more right than a lot of libertarians on the foreign policy issue, who I think, you know, while well-meaning, probably I'm a Vivek Ramaswamy Republican, right? Vivek has very clearly outlined a much more muscular foreign policy than like, you know, the Dave Smiths of the world, the Ron Pauls of the world. I think that Vivek Ramaswamy has really kind of nailed a foreign policy that can still hold to libertarian ideals while still protecting our nation state, which is important.
And running with our brand and putting our brand forward and putting my face on our brand.
The takeover failed.
Would you drop your kids off at a drag queen story hour and come back an hour later?
I mean, would you drop your kids off in a movie? Yeah.
Who's that handsome son of a bitch right there? Oh, baby. Thanks, Clint, for including me.
Would you drop your kids off in a movie? Yeah.
We are just surrounded by such scumbag, duplicitous pieces of fucking shit. And
okay, I guess Clint Russell says a lot of bad words. So if you have kids listening right now, sorry. This might not be kid friendly for the next couple of minutes. So turn it down and then turn it back up in a minute.
For is a little honesty.
Real Hunter Human says, when am I coming to Argentina? Well, potentially in December, which if you do lend me your family's house, then I guess it's December is summer down there. So yeah, I'll definitely hang out. Thank you. LDub78 says, towards Austin's master plans for the libertarians, making Darth Palpatine look like he's playing checkers here. Very true.
It just happens that Chase's positions comport perfectly with mainstream Democratic Party orthodoxy.
The Libertarian Party, with this move, in supporting open borders and vaccine mandates, have just declared.
Bobby says he sent a text. He wants to call into the show. I will check that after this video, and then I will try and get you to be able to call in on the show. Okay, brother?
American people, they are non-viable.
Puberty blockers and HRT have been shown to be mostly reversible. Don't try to twist it like I'm some sort of like Democrat who's like, everybody go out and get your COVID shot.
You're not gonna fucking win, brother.
Nah.
All I care about is the message and the messenger. Can you convey it in a way that can fucking reignite people's souls? I don't think you fucking can. Take that as a personal challenge.
I got in this party because I was an anti-war Democrat. Give the proof of concept to people that we can punish racists with the free market. I'm a gay man. If you're a homophobe, tell me about it so I don't have to associate with you.
If the Democrats were running Ron Paul, I'd be a Democrat. If the GOP runs Ron Paul, I'm a fucking Republican. If the Libertarian Party runs Ron Paul, I'm a Libertarian. I'm a fucking Ron Paulian. You get it?
I'm calling Reed Coverdell an asshole because he's not a libertarian.
I don't think Chase Oliver is the type of person that's going to get someone to go from, I'm a fucking woke DEI zombie, and now I'm going to start thinking for myself. In fact, I think the contrary. I think you're going to bring in more people that think like that, and then they're going to be maybe a little bit better on fucking economics. Golf clap, dude. And the GOP has ran around talking as if they're Ron Paul and then governing as if they're John McCain. I didn't get into this lying. I didn't get known by lying. I ain't gonna start lying ever. I'm fucking here to tell the truth. That's it. And let me be very fucking clear to the non-Mises Caucus folks that are listening right now. I don't care at all that he's gay.
And I have no doubts that this guy idolizes Joe McCarthy.
Bad, Clint. Well done there. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm not set up technologically to take phone calls easily, so it takes me a minute to get everything set up for that. And we've had a new guest in the chat who definitely wants to call into the show and has been, hitting me up this morning. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a quick ad read from our friends at rumble.com. Thank you, Rumble. Then I'm going to go to the mini documentary that you've unlocked so I can go and set up the text so that I can take that phone call from our friend who wants to be on the show. I will do that. I will take that phone call when we get back. But first, very briefly, I do want to say thank you to Rumble Studio. Rumble Studio has been making it available to us to earn an extra bit of cash, which we are very grateful for. Let's see. Playback, unable to go to the campaign selection. I have no idea why that's going away. All right. Well, can I accept this one? Yes. Fail to process campaign. Okay. Well, they're having some kind of issue with their live reads back there. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and go to a brief break. You're going to watch the mini documentary, so it's not like it's commercials or anything, guys. Hang out for a few minutes, and then I'm going to go get our caller. Somebody wants to call in the show. I haven't done this in a long time. We'll hear from him when we get back on the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Wake Up America Show bonus content takes a look at a political concept that is an important part of debunking democratic socialism. Let's consider the tragedy of the commons. In 1974, satellite images revealed a stark contrast in vegetation between a fenced area and the surrounding lands in northern Africa, illustrating the tragedy of the commons. The fenced land, privately owned and divided into sections, thrived due to managed grazing, allowing the land time to recover, showcasing responsible land stewardship. Meanwhile, the adjacent common land was overgrazed by nomadic herders, leading to severe environmental degradation, exacerbated by a drought in the early 1970s. The concept of tragedy of the commons was first described by William Forster Lloyd in 1832, observing the depletion of shared pastures in England due to unregulated grazing. Lloyd pointed out that individual herders benefited from adding more livestock, while the damage from overgrazing was shared among all, encouraging unsustainable practices. When private property rules, people maintain their land. When communistic everyone owns it, then everyone expects someone else to take care of it. Even knowing the damage they caused, herders felt compelled to maximize their immediate benefits due to the collective nature of the commons, showing a classic conflict between individual gain and collective welfare. James Madison once suggested that if all men were angels, government and regulation wouldn't be necessary. However, in reality, personal interests often override communal well-being. This dilemma leads initially cooperative individuals to act selfishly as they see others exploiting the commons, leading to a collective race to deplete shared resources. The term tragedy of the commons became widely used after Garrett Hardin's 1968 article, emphasizing inevitable ruin when communal resources are unmanaged. Globally, fishing commons have suffered due to unrestricted fishing rights, leading nations to restrict fishing zones, which only shifted the problem within those limits. Some historical English commons avoided tragedy through stinting or limiting the number of animals per herdsman, effectively managing the resource through social norms. In small communities like the Hutterites, communal living works when population numbers are low, demonstrating that scale and social cohesion impact resource management. The effectiveness of communal systems also depends on the scarcity of resources, as seen in early American frontiers where wildlife was abundant enough to support unregulated hunting. Environmental concerns like atmospheric and oceanic pollution represent modern tragedies of the commons, where absence of clear ownership leads to widespread environmental degradation. Similarly, the U.S. savings and loan crisis in the 1980s exemplifies a financial tragedy of the commons, spurred by government policies that shielded depositors from risk, encouraging reckless financial behaviors. Congestion on toll-free public roads is yet another form of the commons tragedy, where lack of direct usage costs leads to overuse and traffic congestion. Libertarians have always suggested that toll roads, paying for actual use of the roads, is a far superior form of the maintenance of transportation systems. Understanding these patterns helps identify potential tragedies of the commons in various systems, emphasizing the need for effective management and regulation on publicly owned property to prevent communal resources from being depleted. Of course, libertarians might argue that the problem itself is in the concept of publicly held property at all.
Coming back. Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. We're glad and grateful to have you here. Now, I'm not normally set up to take phone calls, but we're all going to hope that the technology is technologically correct. And joining us live right now, potentially, I hope everyone can hear you, is Bobby. I can sure hear you. Bobby, how are you doing?
Can you hear me now from the commercials, remember?
Yes, we can hear you, Bobby. Thanks very much for joining us here on the program today. What's on your mind? What's on your mind, Bobby?
Well, so I'm a brand guy as well, first off the bat. Bobby Brands is what I go by online. I have like a website and everything, but I'm not here to plug. I'm here, I want to talk about politics and also help you out. I think the thing that you're doing right now with your branding and the kind of cool guy aesthetic and everything, and you're doing the applause, it feels like you're forcing it. It feels like you are forcing this like cool show kind of aesthetic that's not really working for you at the moment.
Okay.
Like, you're doing so many applause, you're doing so many laughs, you're overusing.
But when you say it's not working, what do you mean by not working? Do you mean as in like, what do you mean?
It's physically working, like we can hear it, but it's not working. It doesn't work for you. It's like you're forcing it. You're doing too many of the laugh clips, too many of the applause. It's like you're trying to make it some fun and cool show. The shirt and everything like that. It's not you. It doesn't work.
Okay. And when you say it doesn't work, what is it supposed to be doing that it's not?
Well,
doing?
You're just supposed to be. You have some self-respect.
Okay. And so, what is this show supposed to do? I mean, you say it's not working. I mean, self-respect, that's kind of a separate topic.
You're supposed to do a show you could be proud of or something that you could show. You said you have a child on the way, something you could show that, like, can you imagine? You're gonna show your kid, kid's gonna say, why did you do another applause there? Why did you do another applause there? That's not, you've done too many of them.
So what's your background? I mean, are you a producer, Bobby?
Yeah. Oh yeah. My background, I'm a producer. I've done it all. I've been there. I've done that. I've produced shows that are 10 times the size of your show, and I'm a pretty big cheese in the industry.
Such as?
Oh, I mean, a number. I mean, I could give you a million shows that I've produced.
What's your biggest show? I mean, listen. I mean, if you're a genius and you're here to help rebrand and you can make it more successful, I mean, I'd love to hear it. So, what's your biggest show?
Danny, I was a producer on the Danny Brownhole show.
Danny Brownhole?
Danny Brownhole show. I was a producer on the Techhead Terry show.
Techhead Terry show. Where was that at?
I've done some stuff. Daryl Kraft, a touring stand-up comedian. I've done some producing of some of his comedy specials.
Daryl Kraft.
D. Kraft.
Still, I'm not. Okay, I'm not here. I don't know any of these people, so I have to look them up.
They probably run in a different circle, but the bottom line is, like, I think we can all agree. I mean, you've got, first off, you're using the bisexual lighting. Are you bisexual?
Listen, I mean, if you want to, like, if you actually want to help, you can hang out and we can talk. And I can tell you're being confrontational right now.
No, I'm not.
But if you'd like, if you have actual good advice, Bobby, I'll let you hang out. Otherwise, I'll just hang up if you want to be crude.
Well,
but if you want to have a conversation, if you want to talk about branding and things like that, you don't like the show, you don't like the laughter, you don't like the applause button. I mean, you say it's not working, but it definitely is working in terms of what I need it to do, which is to grow my audience, make a higher cash flow, be able to accomplish my goals.
You don't have a big enough
audience. Are you sure? How big does it need to be?
Well,
10,000 live viewers. 10,000 live viewers. That's not big.
I mean, Danny Brownhole used to do 50,000 unique viewers live.
Well, I mean, Danny, congratulations. Nobody's ever heard of Danny Brownhole. I have no idea who this person is. So I mean,
it's kind of like,
it's not Dan Bongino, right? But I mean, like 10,000 live viewers for 2 hours in the morning. I mean, so Bobby, what do I need to do to please someone like you? I mean, I'm pleasing 10,000 people, but I need to please Bobby.
Well, you don't have to please me at all. I'm a brand guy, though, and I've been doing this for many years. And
Sure you are, Bobby. Goodbye. That was Bobby. Like a Howard Stern caller. Well, look, it's Liz. I know that you wanted to call in as well, so we'll continue those. But if you'd like to call in, Liz, you can do so at 573-319-1586. Feel free to do so. I will go ahead and take calls over the next 15 minutes, but I've got to go set it up. I want to try and set it up so I can have it through the direct phone call. So Liz Fanning, I know that you wanted to call in too. Go ahead and do so, and we'll be right. Welcome back to the Wake Up America show. Thanks so much for sticking around, even though the lighting is quite bisexual. Give it up for Bobby. I know that Bobby wanted to troll, and he did a pretty good job. It was actually pretty funny. The whole Danny Brown whole thing. He's the producer. He's produced lots of shows. He's in the industry. He's really big. He knows what makes a show successful. That's why he called in, because he cares so much. Now, Liz Fanning Press, I know you said you wanted to call into the show, but I didn't get your call. So I've got about 10 minutes. I had another story about this academic, this professor, this white professor who is upset about the fact that he can't get a job as a white boy in academia. And, you know, I have to say that it's definitely a bit of cosmic karma, but I'm not going to have time to get to that show today. So, and now that I know that if Bobby is listening, he's very upset about all my sound effects, I think I'm just going to play him a little bit more because, you know what? This is America.
Look at her. She looks like she's 19 years old, sitting there with her, like a little lady with her legs crossed.
Now you know that the Wake Up America show is a great place to have fun, for us to goof around with friends, have a little bit of 80s nostalgia. And that's really what makes the Wake Up America show unique. See, the things that he was criticizing are the things that I think make the show a lot of fun, and I think are a way for us to enjoy ourselves. Now, that could be Liz calling right there, or it could not be. But Liz, if it's you calling.
To accept, press 1. To send a voice.
Good morning, Cody.
Yeah.
What's up, Cody?
Yeah, I just wanted to call your show. I was curious, what is it like lying for a living? Does it kind of get to you?
I love it, actually. You can make a good living doing that. What do you do for a living, Cody?
But once MAGA's dead and gone, what are you gonna, what are you gonna
Brother,
do for
I'm a
your-
libertarian Republican, and I make an alliance with Make America Great Again Republicans so that we can crush the dreams of losers like you. Goodbye, sir. Now, listen, if you guys want to call the show, you can. I'll give you the opportunity to be heard on air. That's what happens when you do these things. Obviously, you don't have a producer to screen calls. But if Liz Fanning Press, who's texted earlier, says she wants to be on the show, wants to be on, you still got a few more minutes to do so. It's 573-319-1586. You can call or text that line. We'd be happy to hear from you. Again, that's 573-319-1586. We have leftist trolls. We have people pretending to be producer trolls. But I wouldn't mind hearing from Liz if she does want to be on the show. Good morning to Courtney Conover, Cecilia H., Guocas, Frickety. My lovely wife, Stephanie, says, people are hating today. I know, right? They don't like the sound effects. See, my attitude about the sound effects is that some people love it, some people hate it, but the people who hate it can go away because we're going to do it anyway because it's my show and I'm having a great time. I think you're having a great time. And what about you, the fake studio audience? Are you having a good time? Oh, look, it's Liz. Oh, she chickened out. She says, no, she's not calling in because you will play my sound bites for eternity. I know you. No.
How dare you?
I would never. Barney Styles says, I'm digging this. You need a weekly segment where you take calls and yell at people like Mark Levin. Get off my phone. Ask yourself this, ladies and gents. If you enjoy the Wake Up America show, and if you think that Chad and Bobby and whoever the idiots were that were calling this morning are wrong, if you love the Wake Up America show, then why don't you make some Rumble Rant donations right now? Show them that you love the fake audience. Oh, you're trying too hard. You need to please me. I'm Bobby. I'm a producer of a show, Johnny Brown. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see. Do we have another troll on the line? Yes, it's just another. Oh, it's Jose. Hold on one second.
Call from.
Jose, are you there?
From.
No, Jose.
No, my name is Skip.
What's up, Skip?
Yeah. Why do you wear such ridiculous-looking shirts while you're lying all the time?
So that I can hopefully get a date with such handsome and attractive men like yourself. Thank you. Now, I saw that Jose Palacios was calling as well. Jose, you got to call the text line 573-319-1586. Again, that's 573-319-1586. Another listener texted in and says, hey, man, I don't tell too many people about this. My ex-father-in-law had one of the biggest advertising agencies in the world. I won't say the name so that I won't dox you. He said his name on Symphony Hall and a business library, among other things. I also have some experience helping brand a major trucking company. As far as your marketing, you're doing everything right. Oh, I know. But it's nice to hear from you. Jose Palacios, I saw you were calling my phone line, but you got to call the text line, 573-319-1586 if you'd like to be heard. It is fun, but if you guys enjoy the show and you think that they're wrong, the trolls are wrong, get those Rumble Rant donations in, and we will be very grateful to have your support and friendship this morning on the Wake Up America show. We've already raised a bunch of money today, and we'd be glad to have you guys support the show as well. Looks like their Rumble Studios having a little bit of glitchy stuff going on this morning. Let's see if I can do a little bit of their live reads. No, live reads weren't working this morning. We got a little bit less than 10 minutes left, but it's probably time to say goodbye to Waller family. I know. Don't be sad. But maybe we should do more call-ins in the future. What do you guys say? Even if it's trolls, it's still funny, right? Still a good time. AP, BU, your shirts and your show is yours. You're bringing the people that want to listen to you. Exactly. People who call in like this are people with low self-esteem. There's Jose. Hold on one second. Let's see if I can get him. Jose, you there? One second.
Call from
Jose? Darn it, we missed him. Well, Jose, we'll have to try again another time. Thanks so much. Wait. Jose? You there, Jose?
I'm here.
All right, brother. Well, listen, you're the last caller, and then we're going to go to the end. How are you doing, brother?
Doing all right. I thought I'd, give a call to your haters. Amazing show that I love to listen to when I can.
Even though the lighting is bisexual, Jose?
It was quite funny.
The funny thing about like this shirt is that like wearing shirts like these, I remember when I was in middle school, they had like a pajama day at school, and like, middle school is when everybody's like terrified to say what they really think and feel and stuff, because, they're afraid of getting branded or made fun of. But I showed up to middle school that day for pajama day wearing the red pajamas with the footies in him. And there was this bully, and he's at school, and he turned around. I thought he was going to say something to me, talk shit or whatever. And he goes, Austin, you got a lot of guts to do stuff like that. It takes big brass balls to wear shirts like these. Well, Jose, what is it that what do you like about the show?
Everything, the truth that you're speaking, that I believe that you are. I guess, I like the lighting, your sound effects, everything.
Yeah, he likes
even the singing that you do from time to time.
Well, the phone's ringing off the hook, and I would love to take it, Jose, but I can't. I got to say goodbye. Thanks for being a friend and a listener to the show, Jose. We appreciate you very much.
No doubt, homie.
Thanks to Jose. All right. Well, it is time to hit the sad music button. Don't want to try too hard. If you enjoy the Wake Up America show and you haven't clicked like yet, it's time. Click the like. I'm gonna hit every single button on here. I'm gonna hit the.
From now on, it's going to be America first. Okay, America first.
Yes, sir.
FBI, open up!
Oh my God, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the man? Get your ass on, boy. Get your goddamn.
I love the sound effects on this show.
Can you bless me with something?
Oh, gosh.
Money-wise. Please.
Can you suck it?
Head on over to ap4libertyshop.com. Make sure you exit through the Griff Shop today. AP, the number 4, ap4libertyshop.com. Head on over, check out Stephanie's new video, Trad Wife Story Hour. Our new Hustling and Homemaking TV series, Libertarians for Trump merch, is totally awesome. Flying off the shelves. Get yourself a Libertarians for Trump flag. Fly it proudly. The 4th of July collection is available now. Head on over, grab some beautiful Bomb Pop popsicle earrings, a lovely gift for your smoking hot redheaded Libertarian wife. Don't Tread on Me snake earrings, Star Spangled Sneaks. The Ron Swanson 4th of July t-shirts and tank tops are flying off the shelves. History began on July 4th, 1776. Everything before that was a mistake. Get those at AP, the number 4, AP4libertyshop.com. That's AP, the number 4, AP4libertyshop.com. Check that out on your way out. Exit to the Grift Shop. Hope you guys enjoyed it, even though we had a few trolls, which I think actually just makes the show a little bit more fun. It's not about what you do in life. It's about how you respond to the things that happen to you. Love you guys. We'll see you right back here again tomorrow. Silly shirts, wild graphics, and bisexual lighting and all on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Expanse of time, a year might seem like a mere moment, but oh, what a year it's been. In September 2022, Austin and Stephanie Peterson embarked on a journey to wake up America. They began humbly, with just 20 souls tuning in, learning, listening, and though challenges arose, like the looming shadow of YouTube demonetization, their spirit never waned. And now, thanks to you, thousands rise with the sun to join them, to listen, to engage, to be a part of a community. So here's to you, and to Wake Up America, for memories shared, for friends made, for the journey ahead, and for never, ever forgetting to rise and freedom. Happy anniversary.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message. Believe me, Austin Peterson is the best. He's got the greatest Wake Up America show I've ever seen. Whenever I tune in the mornings and watch the live stream, let me tell you, he has got the absolute best content. I love his guests. It's just a total blast to watch, and I highly endorse and recommend the Wake Up America show. It's terrific, believe me.
Is the outdoor of your home about as exciting as a library? Then spice it up and unbore your space with our custom metal signs. Crafted with love and a bit of libertarian magic, you can customize your own metal sign at ap4libertyshop.com. So head to ap4libertyshop.com, customize your own metal sign today.
Welcome to a world of vocal discovery at Peterson Voice Studio. I'm Justin Peterson, here to guide your musical journey. Envision a place where your voice reaches new heights, where every note tells a story. We embrace all singers, from the enthusiastic shower vocalists to aspiring stars, ensuring each voice finds its unique rhythm and tone. Are you ready to elevate your voice? Visit PetersonVoiceStudio.com and sign up for remote lessons tailored just for you. Let's begin this melodious journey together.
Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your pro-freedom values? Fed up with sipping liberal lattes and progressive cappuccinos? Introducing Founding Flavors from AP4Liberty Shop. Get your day started with Washington's Revolutionary Roast. As robust and principled as the man himself, this blend is the shot of energy heard round the world. Or maybe you want to taste the fervor of freedom with Adams's Patriotic Perk. It's as dynamic and balanced as the U.S. Constitution, sure to awaken your spirit of liberty. For the aficionados, we've got the Jeffersonian Java, a complex mix of flavors that speaks volumes about your refined tastes. And don't forget Betsy's Liberty Lullaby, our decaf option, crafted with the same care and dedication Betsy Ross put into our Star-Spangled Banner. This blend lets you enjoy the taste of freedom anytime without losing sleep. No woke beans here, folks, just pure patriotic, pro-freedom flavors brewed with love for liberty. So why compromise your principles for a cup of coffee? Stand up for your values, perk up your patriotism, and start your day the American way. Get your founding flavors at ap4libertyshop.com.